Awesome. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. I hope for those of you who either have kids or are a kid that you're back at school. If you're back at school this week, we started this week at school and getting back used to the routine of everything again. I hope it goes well for everyone. So far, so good for me. So I'm hoping I'll keep up. So, like Miss Katie said, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about numbers. And the way we do numbers, I saw in her email she had mentioned it, and I was like, yes, my favorite thing to ever say is how we are going to be able to go all the way up to the millions, which I know sounds like a lot. It's actually not as bad as it seems. But one of my favorite phrases I always love to tell people before we start is you will be able to count up to 999 on one hand. Okay. That's like my little favorite little fun fact. I say it every time. Some people are like, nah, you're joking. Other times people are like, what? So I just love to say it. It's one of my favorite things to ever say because it's crazy. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is obviously the sign for number. Okay. So the sign for number is you're going to have these like, it's like flat zeros basically. And you're going to go number, 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 number. Okay. So number, and we're going to start with zero because I tend to forget zero sometimes. So we're going to just go ahead and get that one out of the way before it gets forgotten. I don't know why that's one that gets ignored all the time, but it does. So zero is just going to be your basic little zero. Okay. Then we have one, one. Very simple. The first few will be very similar to what you've seen, and then they'll change as we go along. So one, then two is two fingers. Okay. Three is going to now be a thumb out. So instead of having it like this, you're going to have it like this. So your thumb. Okay. So three. Then four is going to be four fingers. All right. And then five. Five. Okay. So most of them are pretty much the same of what we've known since we've grown up. The only really big difference between zero and five, I think, is just that three. Okay. And that one does take a minute, but once you get it, you can't go back. Like I promise. Like there are times where I'll see people doing this for three, and I just stare at them and I'm like, huh? Three. It's kind of a problem. So you may get to that point. All right, so we're going to review those again. So we had zero, one, two, three, four, five. Okay. So now for our next numbers, 6 through 10, the way it works is it's going to look a little bit different each time, and you might be able to catch the pattern as we go. Okay. So for six is going to be that what we typically call our three. Okay. So we have six. Then seven is going to be your ring finger goes down while your pinky goes back up. Eight is going to be your middle finger now goes down while your other finger goes back up. Nine is your pointer finger that goes down. And then 10 is going to be a thumbs up and you shake it. You are totally good. If you cannot get your camera to work, that's totally fine. I just won't be able to like see to help clarify it. So if you need me to repeat again, just let me know. That should work. Okay. So again, our 10 is you have a thumbs up and you shake it. 10. Okay. So let's go back and do our 6 through our 10. So we had 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. So the pattern with that, obviously, if you haven't caught, is that you go from your pinky and you go all the way back to your thumb. That's also like a helpful tidbit. So when you're trying to like count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're picking up your fingers, and then you go from your pinky all the way back to your thumb. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's kind of like the helpful tidbit. Okay, I'm not sure. Sorry. Let's see. I'm not sure how to get make sure I'm not going dark. Am I going dark for anybody else on their screen?
On
Like where
occasion, you have, if it's just speaker view, if it's a gallery view, you've been okay.
I can try pinning myself and singing that. Let me see. Okay. So I pinned myself. I'm gonna try to get myself. Oh my goodness, stop changing screen. Okay. I pinned myself. I'll see if that keeps me staying. Um, and then I still put it back on grid view so I can see all of y'all. So, but if we have any more issues, let me know. I'll try. I'm not sure how with the turning on and off. Sorry, I know I keep signing. The going dark. Maybe a bit. We'll try to figure out what we can do. Okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay, okay. So maybe this should work. Maybe this should stay with me being pinned.
I will fix that.
Okay, there we go. I was like, I'm not sure how to fix going dark, but there we go. All right, perfect. Okay. So like we were saying again, our 0 through our 10. Not too difficult, I think. It's just that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. As long as you can remember you're going back to the thumb with that 10, you should be good. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go 0 through 10 first, and then we'll move on to the next set. Okay. So we had 0, 1, 2, 3, 3. Here we go. 4, 5, 6, 7. So make sure, there we go. Yep. 8, 9, and 10. Okay. So that's 0 through 10. And so for our numbers 11, whoops, I didn't mean to show it already. I was going to keep it a secret. Our numbers 11 through 15 are going to be very similar to our 1 through 5. Typically, what it is it's going to just add an extra motion. All right. So for number 11, you're going to go 11. You flick your finger up. 11. And it is important. You want the back of your hand facing that way because if you do this, that's a different sign. So you want to make sure you have the back of your hand facing 11. Okay. Then we have 12. 12 is going to be the same thing, but with two fingers. 12. So you just flick them up. And if you do bring the two coming like this, where you have it coming towards you, that is also okay. That'll still get your point across that it's 12. So 12 or 12. Okay. 12. Then 13 is going to be that thumb out. So like our 3, but now you make the motion. Come in here. Sorry. My dog his paws are like coming across the floor and it was making a squeaky noise and it was freaking me out at first. He's just stretching. 13. Then 14 is going to be 4 fingers. You're just going to have them together and go 14. You just bring it towards you. 14. Okay. Then 15, same thing, but now with your thumb out. 15. Okay. So, like I said, it's very similar. It's just going to have a slight movement. All right. So let's do 11 through 15 again. So we had 11. 12. Oops, there we go. 13. 14. It takes a minute. I get it. I saw your fingers. You're like, oh my gosh, I got to get your hand. Once you get that number 3 use down packed, you're pretty good. So 13, 14, and then 15. Okay. Okay. So I'll add this here too, might I add. The nice thing, hold on. Sorry, I gotta get my dog down. She recently hurt herself, so she can't really jump, and she will jump. I'm trying to make sure she does not jump off the chair. Um, what I was going to say is that most of the numbers that have their own like sign is we go kind of up to about 25. And then after that, they're going to have a repeated pattern that you'll start to see. So if you're sitting here going, she's about to make me memorize 999 signs, I'm not, I promise. There's such an easier way, and we will see it. Okay. So our next little chunk we're going to do is going to be 16 through 20. Now with 16 through 20, there are two different ways you can do it. One of them is kind of an easier one for beginners, and then the other one is a little bit more of a challenge, but both are still correct. Both are still commonly used. There's not too much of a big, this one's better than the other. It's really kind of up to what you choose and what you're more comfortable with. Okay, so we're going to start with the more easier one, and then I'll show you the challenging one. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to have that 6 again. And all you do is you go 16. You just shake it. 16. 16. All right. The more challenging way to do it is you're going to have your pinky bounce on your thumb. 16. 16. Now, if this you're like, this is not comfortable, this hurts, do not worry. This still works. 16. Okay. 16 or 16. I, for the longest time, did 16 because I was like, excuse me, what am I supposed to do with my pinky? Like, how is that supposed to move? So I didn't bother with this one for the longest time. So 16 was my go-to for a while. All right. The next one we're going to do is 17. So we're going to do our 7. Exact same thing. 17. We're going to shake it. 17. Or the complicated way of now bouncing your ring finger on your thumb, 17. 17. Then we have 18. So 8, 18. Or 18. So that middle finger you bounce. Okay? Then 19, 9. And you're going to shake it, 19. Or 19. Okay. Then our last one, 20. 20 is going to be like Baby Shark, if any of y'all are familiar with that, and goes 20 with that one little finger, 20. 20. Okay, so let's go back, or 15 through 20. You can totally choose if you just want to do one, you pick one and want to stick with it, that's totally fine. If you want to try both, that's also totally fine. It is completely up to you. Okay, so we had nope, 16. Sorry, I realized I even said 15 through 20. I was like, that does not feel right. No, 16 through 20. My goodness. So 16, or 16, whichever one. Then 17, 17, or 17. 18, 18, or 18. 19, 19, or 19. And then 20, 20. Okay. So before we get going for our last little bit, I'm going to pause right here and give you all a break while I explain something. Because I know you're probably like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of numbers we just went through. So I don't know if y'all have noticed, but compared to our letters and our numbers, when we have the number 6 and the number 9 and also the letters W and F, they are the same. So W and 6 are the same, and then F and 9 are the same. So how would you differentiate those between if you're talking about when you're talking about something? One of the biggest things in not only deaf culture, but also in ASL is context clues. They are literally your best friend. And so a lot of times that helps a lot without having to be really complicated and explaining things. Your context clues will be there to help it. So, for example, if you're talking about saying that your name is, let's say, Felicity, and you go Felicity, okay? Your finger spell. They're going to automatically know that that is an F, not the letter nine, number nine. Oh, goodness, the number nine. Because most people do not have their names nine Elicity, that sort of thing. Now, if you are someone who's like, I'm John the Third or Mark the Third or whichever, that is a slightly different sign. Okay. The way you do the second, first, or first, second, third, fourth, whichever, is you basically have that number and you go the first, the second, you just twist it. You do a little twist to it. So I'm May 2nd. Like I'm the second May. I don't know. I'm making up stuff. But so you would just add that little shake to show that you're talking about you're the third of your family, the third one with that name. And then the same concept is if you're talking about a phone number, most of the time, you're not going to have, most phone numbers nowadays do not have the letters W or F in them. Most of the times they are just numbers themselves. Now, with that being said, there are occasions where you have both letters and numbers. And that is like, for example, when you're talking about usernames or passwords or with accounts, different things like that. And so the way you would explain that you're talking about the letter or the number is you would just add that sign number before it. Okay. And then we do this every time. I say we. I love like I'm dragging y'all in, like, yes, we all forget. No, I forget. It's totally me. The sign for letter. Every class, we always forget the sign for letter until this time. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. So the sign for letter is you have an L with your dominant hand, and then you have your non-dominant and a pointer, and you just tap your L on it. Letter, letter. So when you're trying to say, let's see, I always try to think of something and forget it. Felicity 92. Okay. Let's say that's like our username or whatever. What I would do is I would do letter Felicity. Oh, sorry. That was me drawing a total blank on Felicity. And then I would go number 92. So I would just add that little quick little sign, that letter and number, just to clarify which one I'm talking about at that time. Okay. So that's how you would clarify the difference between the W and the 6 and then the F and the 9 is you would just add those little things. Like I said, context clues will help you out most of the time. It's only those rare occasions when you have it blend together. Okay? All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back all the way 0 through 20. Okay? And then we'll move on to our next numbers. So we had 0, 1, 2, 3. Oh, trust me. Like I said, it's a habit. It is hard to let go of this one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Again, you can choose which one, 16 or 16. 17 or 17. 18, 19 or 19, and then 20. 20. Okay, so now for numbers 21 through 25. Luckily, it's only really going to be 3 more new signs. Okay. Then the numbers 22 and 24 are going to start to show you what's going to be kind of the pattern that you'll notice as we go through the rest of the numbers. All right. So the next number, 21, is you're going to have this L and you bounce your thumb, 21. 21. Excuse me, 21. Then for 22, what you're going to do is you're going to have a 2 and you're going to bounce it. 2, 2, 22, 22. And this is kind of what you'll see a bit more, especially when you have doubles. Doubles are really big about the bouncing like this. Okay. So 22. Then 23 is you're going to have a 3 and you're going to have your middle finger bounce. 23. 23. 23. Okay. Then for 24, what you're going to do is you're going to go 2, 4. Well, I know I did that slow. 24. 24. You don't have to bend your fingers and go like that. I realized I was like, I'm going so slow, I'm bending it. I was like, no, 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 no. I need to not do that. 24, 24, 24. So you just go 2, 4. All right. And then our last one, 25. So for 25, you're going to have your 5 up. Your ring and middle finger are going to come together and you're going to bounce it. 25. It almost reminds me of Spider-Man. I don't know if any of y'all have watched Spider-Man, all the OG, everything, when he goes like to get to his web. That's what I think of every time is Spider-Man. So 25. Okay. So let's go through those 5 again. So we had 21, 21. 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, 24 or 24, and then 25, 25. Okay, so I'm going to explain a few other things that kind of, this is more of exposure than really my expecting you to know this and sign this perfectly every time. So, like I've kind of mentioned, I'm sure you've probably caught a few times where I said they're very, well, actually, no, I was talking to Miss Katie about this. That's why I said it. I was like, wait, have we already talked about this? No, we haven't. Um, so in ASL, things can change just like how in English, there are many different ways to say the exact same thing. There are many different ways you can sign things that can also still be the same. Okay. And so when you come around the 20s, there's a few different ways you can sign it and kind of modify it. The first one is what we just went through. So the 21, 22, 23, 24, 24, 25. If you ever were to forget those numbers, like 21, 23, and 25, you can always do 21, 23, 25. You can do the 2 5s, 2 1, 2 3s. It just, they may, when they see it, a deaf person may see it and sign it back to you 25 or 23. They may show it to you. But you can still do that to get that number if you're like, oh, I need to say, like, I need 21 or I have 21. You can say 2 1 and they'll know you mean 21. Okay. So it's not the end of the world if you forget the sign for that number. Then there's also another way that you can sign the 20s. And so typically the way it goes is it goes 24, 24. So it's like that L. So instead of the 2 here and 24, it goes 24. L4, 24. That counts for like the 2 and then it goes 24, 24. And sometimes I catch myself. That's why I'm giving you all that exposure now. So if you see me go 24, it is not that I'm telling you this is like teaching you wrong 24. It's just there are so many different ways you can sign it. And depending on who I've been around at school, I will change from 24 to 24. I've especially caught myself the last few classes where I'll go 24, 24, and then I'll say 24. And I'm just like, I don't want people to be like, what's happening? There are very different ways, many different ways. Okay, so What we're going to do real quick again is we're going to go 0 through 25. Then I'll start explaining the next numbers, okay? So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oops, sorry, my bad. I'm getting too caught up in my own self. I was catching ahead. 16 or 16. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, or the 24 that I showed you. You don't have to worry about that one. I'm just showing again. And then 25. Okay. How are we feeling with our numbers so far? Good. I can't, or is it 50? Is the L for 50? Or is it, I can't remember. Listen, my math, we don't talk about Roman numerals in my elementary group. For those of you who haven't seen, Miss Katie asked the question of, haven't we discussed, did we discuss this before? Is the L the Roman numeral for 20? And I could not remember. I know C is for 100. I could not remember. Okay, so 50. That's what I wondered. I think L is for 50, but I know that X is for tens. So, but okay. So anyways, like I was asking, how are we feeling with our numbers right now? We feeling good? Like I need practice, or girl, I don't know what numbers are anymore. You lost me on everything. I really hope no one does this. I really hope. I know numbers take a while. They do. Trust me. I feel like numbers and letters can sometimes be one of the hardest ones because it's just there's so much. And I always recommend whenever you're trying to practice your numbers, your letters, I think I mentioned it last class, is just look at your surroundings, look around you, and just try to spell or try to sign the numbers that you see. Like I'll look at the clock and I'll be like, okay, it's 6:01 or something like that. Like I'll like sign the numbers to myself so I can practice it. That's always like my best tidbit. And especially when you do that, excuse me, it becomes more natural. You see it more, you're catching it more, sort of deal. So, what we're now going to talk about is we're going to talk about our numbers 26 all the way up to 99. Okay? So, luckily, all of those numbers are going to have that similar kind of pattern of where you go 24, 26, 27, 28, that sort of movement. Or with that random L that goes 26, 27, 28, that. But we're going to focus on this one for now. 27, 28. Okay? It's just that slide with the number. Okay. And some people don't even do the slide. They'll just go 29, 29 sort of deal. You can have that least less motion. I like to show the motion solely so that way you kind of get in that habit of knowing what numbers you're assigning to keep that pattern pace going. But as you kind of get more comfortable with it and sign it more, you'll notice your hand will naturally follow a specific pace or specific flow where it does not do that big movement. Okay. So that I was going to say that was one thing with that, with all the numbers is you just basically do that. So 32, 31, 45, 45. You just do that slide motion with all. Okay. Then the tens. So the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Okay. They're even simpler because you don't have to go 3-0, 3-0, like that sort of deal. All you do is you literally do 3 and then close to an O, 30, 30, 30, 30. And then 40 is 40, 40, 40, 40. So you don't have to add that fancy little motion to it. You literally just close your 4. Close the 4. 50 is the same way, 50. 60 is like I tend to slightly change my 6. So instead of pinching it like this, I have it flat. And then I just close my fingers on top. 60, 60, 60. Same thing with 70, 70. Oop, go back up. There we go. 70. Okay. 80, same thing. 80, 80. Just close it on top. 80. And then 90, 90. Okay. So that's how you can get to 99 at least on one hand is you literally could just go 99, 99, 99, which I personally think is always a cool thing that you can already do that. Because, most people are like, no, you can max up to 5, or they start doing the bouncing where they're like 5, 10, 15, 20. No, you can do a nice little 99. Okay. So now what we're going to talk about is hundreds, thousands, millions. Okay. I know that sounds like a lot. It's not. All right. All you do is you just add a sign to them. So for the first one, for the hundreds, if you remember, I said in the beginning, you can count up to 999 on one hand. So for the 100, how you do that, this is like 100 in itself, but also the sign for 100. Okay. Is you're going to start with your 1. And then you just pull your hand back into a C, 100. So that Roman numeral C kind of deal, 100, 100, 100. So then if you wanted to do 200, you do the same thing, 200, 200, 200. Okay. 300, same, 300, 300. So you just pull it back into a C, 300. Okay. 400, 400, 400. 500, 500, 500. This one, gotta stop. Sometimes I'll get not lazy, it's just more like that natural where it's not perfect. I like to think of it like you know where we have, oh, why is that word gone? The words like can't, don't, won't. What are those called? Conjunctions? No. Yes? I'm not an contractions. Thank you. Thank you. I knew I was going to say it wrong. I was sitting there going, that's not it. I'm not an English teacher, you guys. I'm a math teacher through and through, as you can tell. But so it's like contractions where they can combine. Sometimes your signs, they're not that perfect. Like I cannot 500, 500. Sometimes you just go 500, 500. Like it's just literally like you just bend your fingers. So that's like can't kind of deal. Um, it just kind of happens. So that's what I'm trying to be more like 500. So you see exactly what we're signing. 500. Oh, did it again. 500. Okay. Then 600, 600, 600. 600. Then 700, 700, 700. Okay. Do you want to go through 8 and 900 or are we good? Some people I know want to go through every single one. Some are like, oh, we can go, we'll do, since it's only two, we'll just do them real quick. So 800. So the C motion is to the back. So you have your number in front of you right here. So like my 8 is here, and I'm pulling it back towards me. 800, 800, 800, 800. Yeah, 800. And then 900, 900, 900, 900. Okay. So if you were going to say a number that's between like 100 to 900 and it's not a specific 100 like 900, 300, it's, let's see, 234, okay? The way you would do it is you would just basically add on. You would go 234. So 234, okay? And again, if you ever forget the C and you're like, oh, I need to say it, you can do 234. They will get it. It's just it's always nice to have that 100 to really clarify where you're signing. Okay. But if it's like an emergency where you're really trying to like get a number across, you can just go 234. It would get through. Okay. So we're of course going to do 999 just because I think that one's always a cool little one to have. So 999. Okay. Now you can tell all of your friends that you can count up to 999 on one hand. I know I've harped on that so much, but that is like my favorite party trick. And I just love to tell everyone, brag about it because no one else can do it. Unless they're deaf, then they probably can do it or they know ASL. But other people most of the time are like, what are you talking about? No, you're crazy. So you can be like 999. Okay. Now, so we finished our hundreds. We're going to go to the thousands. So for the thousands, we do need our non-dominant hand now. Okay. And I typically will say dominant versus non-dominant because I'm left-handed. So if I say get your left hand up, that's not your dominant hand. I don't want to get confusing. So that's why I go with dominant and non-dominant. All right. So your non-dominant hand needs to be palm up. Okay. Your dominant is going to be first in that one position. This is for 1,000 and then also 1,000. All right. So you have that one, and then you're going to bend your hand in a half bend to your base of your palm. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. And this is typically you are going to have your palm facing forward, kind of that front. I was just turning it sideways so you can see what it looks like coming at the side. 1,000. 1,000. Okay? So 1,000. And this is also where you can do the 2,000. 2,000. 3,000. 3,000. 3,000. 4,000. 4,000. 4,000. 5,000. 5,000. 5,000. Okay. And you can keep on going and so forth. Now, you can add, if you're saying 10,000 or 12,000, you just basically would still sign 10,000. So 10,000. Okay, 10,000. Then if you were talking about 100,000, you're just going to have that thousand be at the end. So you'd go 100,000. So 100,000. 100,000. I like to think about how when we voice a number and we're not doing 1,0,0,0,0,0, whichever, we usually say 100,000. We have that thousand at the end, that sort of thing. That's like how you want to think about how you're visually going to sign it. 257,000. That sort of deal. So 257,000. Okay. Same wording sort of deal. What that also means when we're saying, let's see, 123,000 456. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. You would do the same thing we were talking about. So you'd go 123,000. Someone is being attacked by a cat right now. I see it. Then 456. Okay. I know that one's a mouthful. The numbers are a mouthful. I wanted to just show you that process of how you would step by step do it. So just think about how you would voice it, and that's typically how you assign it. Okay. All right. So let's review our hundreds and our thousands real quick, and then we'll do our last one, millions. All right. So our 100 is that 100, 100. And then we had our 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. Okay, 1,000. Okay. All right. So for our last one, million. Million is very similar to 1,000. Okay. It's just an added extra step. So we're going to still have our non-dominant palm up. You're going to have that one again. And you're going to go 1,000,000. Oh, you cannot see that. Sorry. You're going to go at the base of your palm and go to where your fingers become, your hand becomes your fingers. So 1,000,000. 1,000,000. 1,000,000. 1,000,000. It's that forward base. So you just bounce it forward. Million. Million. Okay. Million. So 1,000,000. Okay. Again, I feel like if I ask, most of y'all will be like, we're good going through all the millions and 20 billions and all that sort of thing. We won't, as long as I know y'all get the concept with the million. So you just bounce it. For the visual for this, I think of the commas, where the commas are when you write out a million, is you have a comma here and then a comma there. So you have two commas. 1,000,000. Okay. I try to think of different ways to help things stick better when you're trying to like remember and memorize. And so if some of them help you, that's great. That's awesome. If some of them don't, you can just smile and nod and let me say it still because it may help someone else. It's the same example when we were talking about the letter X last week with being a pirate. I just throw those kind of, sometimes may feel random. And I try to be like, well, this is how I think of it. If that doesn't work for you, that's totally fine. I just try to give as many opportunities to help it memorize and stick better. So that's why I said the commas. I could just see someone going, she was just talking about how we voice it like this, and now she's saying commas, how we write it. What? So that's why I was like, that's how it stuck in my head. Million. Okay. Before we do anything else, before we move ahead, are there any questions you guys have? Any questions? Anything you would like repeated? Anything that you guys can think of? Yes. So 30 again is, oh, yeah, okay. So for 30, I'm glad you actually brought this one up because I didn't realize I was doing this. When you're signing the sign for 30, okay, you don't have to go full circle like this. 30, you don't have to. An easier way is literally you go 3 and you make your 3 close. 30, 30. Now you still could do 30, 30. You can, 30. But this is the faster and kind of easier way. Your fingers get more adjusted to this 30. Okay. So 30. Yeah. Any other questions you guys have? Anything else you guys can think of or need clarification on? Well, I give my poor hand a break. Whew. I'm starting to hit that point where like when it's been a while since I've been signing because of my summer. So signing all day and then coming and signing at home, it's like my hand's like, okay, I need like a break. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced where you may be at a place where you talk a lot all the time, and then you have a long break of not having to talk to a lot of people, and then you go back, and all of a sudden your like voice hurts. Same thing with hands. Your hands start to hurt. You're like, well, what is happening? Okay. So what we're going to do real quick right now is I'm going to not start any time signs just yet. Okay. We're just going to keep it basic because we did not finish all of our signs from last week, which was just those simple basic ones. We're going to kind of, I think, review some of those. I think would help. Let me get back on that list. I'm sorry, Miss Katie. I know we were talking about it and then I changed my mind. Um, I wanted to get back on that little quick list that you had sent prior. That's that one. It's August. Nope, 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 nope. Let's see. Oh, goodness. Katie, go. Nope. There we go. Okay. So we're going to just kind of once again review some basic signs that will help in emergencies or help with any sort of situation. One of the signs that I don't think we got to is the sign for sign itself. And so there are two ways you can sign. The first one is you have two pointer fingers and you just go sign. You have them in a circular motion. Sign. Okay, sign. Oh, goodness. There we go. Sign. The other one is going to be, it's like two closed fists and you go sign, sign. Arm fingers up and down, sign, sign. Typically the way they're used kind of shows a difference. Most of the time it's, can you sign that? What's the sign? What's the sign for that sort of deal? So this is, you can say I'm learning sign, like I'm learning to sign sort of deal, which I will show you learn, I promise. I know I just threw that out there. But sign versus I need you to sign, like I need you to sign in class. I need that sort of thing. So this one's more of a generic overall, you need to have language and sign as the whole thing versus signing maybe individually a word here or there. Okay? So sign. Then we have the phrase, I am learning to sign. Okay. So the way, there are two ways I'll show you. One is saying I'm learning to sign, and one is saying I'm learning ASL. Okay. So learning to sign, how you say that sentence in English. Nope, that's how you say it in English. How you say it in ASL is you're going to say sign me learn. Okay, that's the grammar structure. That is the correct structure of it. So you will go sign me, and then our new word learn is you're going to have your non-dominant palm up. Your dominant is going to have that 5 kind of come on top. It's like you're pulling in the information and you bring it to your forehead. Okay, learn, learn. Okay, I think about this being like a textbook or any kind of book, and you're taking that information, all that text that's in there, and you're pulling it and bringing it to your brain as you are learning the information. Learn. Okay, so now we'll put it together. So we have sign, me, learn. Okay. And also, if you ever, I know I feel like I said, if you do this, if you do that, I'm trying to give you all peace of mind because I know the grammar structure is very different than how it is in English. And sometimes that can be overwhelming. It's not the end of the world if you said me, learn, sign. Okay. If you do follow that English structure where we have the subject in front, I, me, learn, sign, you are still going to get clear. You're still going to get your point across. They're still going to understand what you're saying. All right. So please do not stress if you're like, I can't remember the structure of which is right, which is wrong. Both work. Some people may say, no, you must have it perfectly. Sign, me, learn. Others, they don't care. They're like, oh, either way, I understand what you're saying. Okay. So please do not feel, oh, gotta get it exactly right. It's okay if you sign it more in that English. It's totally fine. Okay. Now, the next sentence I was going to say is, I am learning ASL. So that would be ASL, me, learn. Okay? So for ASL, you just finger spell it. ASL. 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 And I know I add that little fancy L. That's just me adding some pizzazz to my signing. ASL. ASL. Okay? So you would go me, excuse me. ASL, me, learn. Okay. And you still can say me, learn ASL. That's also okay. All right. So the next ones we're gonna do are just a few basic signs. These, what I'm gonna do first is we're gonna do the sign for help, slow, please, and repeat. I lied. There's four. Okay. Those I think are very basic. And those are ones where you can just sign it once. You don't have to have a full sentence, and they're still gonna understand a bit what you're saying. So the first one we're gonna do is the sign for please. Okay. So please is going to be an open five like this. You're going to have it almost if you remember that my that we had last week. And you're going to circular motion. Please. Okay. Please. Please. Okay. Then we have our repeat. So repeat is also the same sign for again. It's the exact same sign. Okay. So you're going to have your non-dominant sideways like this. Did I say dominant? Sorry, you're non-dominant. If I didn't, I can't remember which one I said. I like psyched myself. I watched everybody go from having this to, oh, this. And I was like, did I say something wrong? My bad. Your non-dominant hand, okay? Your dominant is going to have that slightly bent shape that we've done a few times tonight. And you're going to go again, repeat, or again. All right? Okay? So you would do, please repeat. So if you're asking them to sign it again, that is how you would ask someone, please sign that again. I don't understand what you said. Again, please. This is one that my students love to ask when they are trying to avoid homework. Again, what? Again, what? What? What did we talk about? What? So this one I see quite a bit. All right. The next one we have is going to be, let's see, slow. Slowly, slow, that same sign. So the way you're going to do is your non-dominant. It does not matter if your hand's a fist or flat, either way works, but you're going to have it kind of slightly in front of you. I'm going to turn mine sideways so you can see what I'm doing, okay? But you're going to have your non-dominant flat. Your dominant is going to have this hand, and you're going to slide it across. Slow, slow, slow. And you don't want to go fast. You do fast, that's going to confuse them because it would confuse me. You asked for slow, but signed it fast. So slow, slow, slow. Okay? So you would go, please repeat slow. And that is how you ask someone to nicely ask someone, please sign this slowly. I did not catch what you said. Okay. So then let's see. The last one is help. Okay. I'm going to start kind of explaining this, but I'm not going to go too deep into it. We will talk about this more later. So the sign for help, the general sign for help is you're going to have your non-dominant up. Your dominant is in that thumbs up, and you go help, help, help. Okay? Now, if you were to ask someone if they need help, if you remember last week, we talked a little bit about these eyebrows. These eyebrows have to go up and down all the time. So if you're asking someone if they need help, you would basically go help. Eyebrows up and just tap. Help, 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 help. Want help? Okay, that's how you can ask. Another way is it's really called the directional sign. That's what help is a directional sign, which means you're going to move the sign itself in order of who is helping the other person. Okay? So what I mean by that is if you're asking if you can help this one, can I help you? You would start here near you and you would move it towards the other person. So I'm going to give you help. Can I give you help? Okay, it's like you're giving it to them. Help? Want me to help? Okay, and the same concept if you're asking someone to help you, you'll start away from you and bring it towards you. Help me. Help me. Can you help me? Okay, so that thumbs up, really you can show wherever you need it to go. I need you to help me. I will help you. Even if you're talking about two different people, you can say, you help her. You help him. Okay? So we will see that more often with a few other signs, but that one's just a helpful one, especially if you're trying to see if someone needs help. Okay, you can always just go help or help. Do you want me to help you? Okay. Okay. Before we finish, we're going to just go over those last four signs real quick. And then I promise I will let you go and then give you guys a nice little peaceful week of not having to see me sign 20 billion numbers. Okay? So the first one we had again was our please. So please. Then we had our repeat or again. Repeat or again. Then we had our slowly or slow. Slow. Now bend it down so you say it slow. Slow. Okay. And then our help. 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 Or help. Can I help you? Okay. Okay. All right. Is everyone feeling good? I know it's a lot. Like I said, now that we've gotten I know those numbers, once you get the numbers, it's not as bad. So, I recommend just practicing your spelling, your letters, and your numbers, and I promise it'll get better. Next week, we will start our time signs, which I personally think can be a little bit fun because it's just such a different thing sometimes. But
I think that time signs are a nice break too because they make sense. So
yes,
after doing all the numbers, a lot of the time you're like, oh, okay, I get that, you know.
conceptually, it makes sense. I
Yeah,
think there's a lot of those concepts that come in, and you're like, oh, okay. So,
yeah.
well, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of y'all's week, and I will see you guys all next Tuesday. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.